Welcome everybody to another shocking international episode of Lockdown 23 and 1. So like I said, it's an international episode, and we're traveling right back down to El Salvador. That's right, we covered a story about a year ago about their brand new mega prison. Today I'm going to be reading an article breaking down some of the living conditions inside this prison. It's really going to shock you. Let's put it like this, it's worse than our segregation units. And that's for their whole general population, as well as some new footage showing the inside of this prison. Man, it is a very eerie clip, and you'll know exactly why when I show it. But this prison was built because of all the gang activity and the murders in their country. The president said he had enough, and this is what he came up with. Before we get into it, if you enjoyed this type of content, all things lockup and crime related, then this is where you want to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. Coming face to face with inmates in El Salvador's new mega jail. That's the title of this article, and keep in mind this prison is the size of 7 football fields. It can hold up to 40,000 inmates. I believe the only prison on earth that comes close to that is in China. I could be mistaken, but the article begins with hundreds of eyes are upon us, with shaven heads dressed in pristine white and heavily tattooed. The prisoners know that they're being watched and return the gaze from the other side of the bars. They call this prison CICA, Center for the Confinement of Terrorism. Man, I'm already scared. A maximum security jail built a year ago by the Salvadorian government to imprison high-ranking members of the country's main gangs. Imagine if they built a prison like that in America and they just started sweeping all the Bloods, Crips, GDs, anything up in that mix. But this is what a lot of people are actually getting cranky about, saying that innocent individuals are getting caught up in these raids because of particular haircuts, tattoos, or just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Right? Just imagine that. Let's say you're over here in the States, they started doing stuff like that. You got some gang tattoos from the past, you done changed your life around. You're a role model now, got a family, you don't even think about that stuff no more. But you got the tattoo, get hemmed up in this big ass sweep because you're right next to a gang block or something, right? Next thing you know, you're in a mega prison. You know, I'm all for dropping the crime rate, murder rate, and all that. But if a bunch of innocent people are getting hemmed up in the mix, then they need to come up with some kind of way to, figure out who they are and get them out of there. And also, you got to take into consideration, this is El Salvador. If I were to guess, I've never been there. I don't know nothing about it. But if you got certain tattoos out there, chances are it's not like the States where, some guys can have it and they're not even a part of anything. It's not even real, right? They regret it. They're waiting to get it removed. Maybe, if I were to guess, a lot of people over there flaunting these particular tattoos are probably, 100% legit. Second of all, in this video or clip that we're going to be watching, they're going to speak about these gangs not being separated into cell blocks. And you would imagine from a lot of videos or riots, stuff that you read or seen throughout time from these countries, that they would probably be killing and decapitating each other. I don't know if they are doing that type of stuff, but if I were to guess, the way that they're hemming all these individuals up and putting them with their rivals all in one cell, the video clip that I'm seeing, these clothes are completely white. Doesn't look like a lot of bloodshed's going on, but at the same time, I can only imagine what has happened with some certain people coming into a certain cell block, especially in the beginning or opening phases of this prison. I could be 100% wrong. There have been hardly any violence in this prison because of the force that the COs might be showing on the inmates as well. If they got force like Shawshank Redemption guy, man, yeah, they're going to get some order in that prison. A gargantuan complex constructed in the middle of nowhere. Critics of the president have called it a black hole of human rights, where international guidelines on prisoners' rights are flouted. But everybody's going to be a critic. It doesn't matter if it's the best thing on earth, someone's going to hate on it. Miguel, a former member of the United Nations Subcommittee for the Prevention of Torture, has described it as a concrete and steel pit. Well, that's like every prison if you were to ask me. And referring to the fact that no one has so far been released from the jail. Wow, 40,000 heads deep, ain't nobody getting bond. Imagine that, man. No release date, no trial. If I were to guess, they ain't having trials for all these guys. Wait, let me correct myself. I did read that they are allowed to do mass trials. So, who knows? They're probably sentencing 20, maybe 100, maybe 1,000 at a time. Guilty. Or innocent, who knows? But if I were to guess, they're all guilties right about now. Here are the psychopaths, the terrorists, and the murderers who had our country in mourning, announces the director of the center during a careful tour of the cells organized by the government for international media. It's the middle of the night, but in here, the artificial lights are never turned off. Man, that reminds me of some of the most stressful times I had in lockup. Got in trouble, they put me in a side pocket, but back there in this facility, they never turned the lights off. Shoot, I left that cell with a couple leaves sprouted off my back, like I was in a grow tent. Lights not shutting off, man, believe it or not, could really ruin your psyche. The article says a waft of air filters through the lattice ceiling. The temperature in the cells can reach 35 degrees Celsius. Hooded guards keep watch from above, gun in hand. The prisoners climb onto the 4-story bunks on which they sleep without any mattresses or sheets. They have to lie on bare metal. These living conditions is for their whole general population. Keep in mind, over here in the States, the only time you have to go through situations like that is if you tell them that you're probably going to commit some kind of self-harm. Then they'll remove everything from you, even your clothing, and put you in this little dry cell and watch you on camera for a few days. Make sure you don't do it. Usually by the end of that, people wake up to the reality of things and say, man, I never want to be in here again. They eat the food they are given, rice, beans, hard-boiled eggs, or pasta, with their hands. Any utensils can be fashioned into a deadly weapon, the director explained. So they have no spoons, forks, sporks, rubber, any plastic, any kind of utensils. I have seen a video where they got these kind of like sporks where it's like cardboard, you just bend it and you can eat like that. Maybe they should get them some of those, even though I do it on a regular basis, right? I don't even use a knife or fork when I eat my steaks. I eat it like a caveman with my hands. Even in the restaurants, I rip it apart and just dip in A1 and eat like that. There's nothing else within these 3 cement walls, apart from 2 sinks for prisoners to wash in and 2 toilets, which inmates have to use in plain sight of everyone else. That's typical in prison, man. You better get used to dropping a deuce around 20, 30 other people. Well, over here in El Salvador, around 40,000 other heads might be watching you. And as far as accommodations, there ain't nothing else to do but watch time go by. There are 7 other blocks like this one within the enormous complex, which covers the equivalent of 7 football stadiums. The compound is surrounded by 2 electrified fences and 7 reinforced concrete walls and guarded by 19 towers. It's not clear how many are currently locked up there, nor on what grounds those who are there have been selected for this facility. What is the maximum capacity of each cell? Where you can fit 10 people, you can fit 20, the director says, appearing to smile from behind his anti-COVID mask. Haha, that's treacherous. If they say, it's only built for 10, we can shove about 30 more thousand, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if many other countries start following suit. Just imagine if they got rid of like 30, 40 prisons in America and made one big one, like one mega prison per state. You know what I mean? And within that big prison, they have different units. I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that within the next 20 years. That's my gamble, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. El Salvador now has the highest incarceration rate in the world. More than 70,000 people have been detained under the state of exception, an emergency measure granting draconian powers to the police and military that has been enforced for the past 2 years. Alright, so like I said, and yes, I do have another t-shirt on. I spilled a bunch of coffee on my other one. But like I said, I got a clip showing you exactly everything that I just read to you from that article.
A late-night visit in the heart of El Salvador.
Ah, look at this place.
Telemundo cameras are given rare access to Latin America's largest prison. Inside this mega prison, you'll find some of El Salvador's most dangerous gang members into massive cells, towers of bunk beds, and what looks like bird cages.
Buenas noches, señor presidente.
It's a source of pride for President Nayib Bukele that almost 2 years ago declared a war on crime. A detention center the size of 7 football stadiums with capacity to hold 4.
Wow. Now this is the definition of a mega prison. But look, over here, these down here are the massive cell doors, right? And I'm guessing they go back all the way over here. It looks like they have maybe fencing above those massive cells so that they can walk over them if they wanted to. Shoot down into the cell or whatever. At least that's what it looks like to me, man. This place is wild.
40,000 prisoners, the largest of its kind in Latin America. It opened its doors in 2023 after the government declared a state of emergency and allowing massive arrest of tens of thousands of gang members.
Aquí están esos sujetos que ocasionaron tanto luto y dolor en una sociedad.
Their diet consists of simple meals that repeat every day.
Frijol, arroz, un huevo duro en la mañana. El menú del desayuno se repite en la cena. El almuerzo lo único que cambia, un poquito de pasta y arroz.
Wow. So their meals are repeated over and over again. There's nothing different. No mats, nothing. We already read all that stuff. This is unreal. I'm guessing they don't give nothing special for the holidays. I don't think they do.
It's all part of the president's tough stance on crime that some say solidified his re-election over the weekend. The government says the measures are working and the homicide rate has now dropped to 2.4%. This after just years ago, El Salvador was considered the most dangerous country in Central America. And for those who end up here, the director says there is no separation even between rival gangs, all sleeping in the same large cells with no rights to visitation. The dark side to the radical change that brought peace to the streets of a nation.
But that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think they're going to give you too much of a closer look into that place. But, you know, all it takes is one president to really change things in a country, right? And it's definitely happening in El Salvador right now as we speak. Before we close it out, though, I'd like to hear y'all's opinion in the comment section below on if you think this would be a good idea to bring to the States. Like I said earlier in the video, one mega prison per state. One thing that definitely shocked me about this video, though, is how controlled it was. I understand some things for television could be a little painted on a bit, you know, but these inmates ain't actors, man, you know, but they still somehow managed to get them to be completely silent during the recordings and to face the camera, single file. I don't know, I just found that to be pretty wild. But either way, hopefully y'all enjoyed a closer look into this mega prison. If there's any more updates coming from this place, I'll be sure to bring it your way. Until the meantime, my prayers go out to anybody out in that country, as well as anybody that's in the prison that doesn't deserve to be. Hopefully those ones get out sooner than later. But stay tuned, I got plenty more content coming your way, and as always, y'all be easy, be safe, and stay free.